Hello there, I'm Black White News, and I must say I'm a bit tired of watching videos slagging off the Bob Marley movie. You have to ask yourself, who is the Bob Marley movie for? Who is the target audience? Is it the Jamaicans where he grew up, who knew him, who knew everything about him? Or is it for other people around the world who didn't have a clue about his lifestyle and only saw him as a performer? I think it was the latter. I think that the Bob Marley movie was for all of those people, all of those fans who only saw Bob Marley as a performer and didn't know anything about his life. Now, did the movie share much about his life? I don't think so. I don't think it shared enough about his life. It kind of glossed over a large part, but Bob Marley's life cannot be condensed in a couple of hours. And should they have shown how he brutally beat up his wife, as they say, or should they have shown more about the conflict about between Chris Blackwell and other members of the family and people, colleagues? I think it was a very tasteful movie, and we've grown so used to violence and anger and hatred and animosity that the couple of minutes that were in there where he beat up his promoter wasn't enough. And you do find out from, what people are saying that they wanted to see more conflict. They wanted to see more about what went on in his life. And, there's a lot of slagging off because the producers didn't use Jamaicans. And like I've said in a previous movie, it's only because Jamaicans are untamed and they cannot be tamed and they cannot be trained. You have to take them as they are. And a lot of producers haven't got time for that. They want obedient people. They want people who are not going to give their opinion. They want people who are not going to change things to their own style and become producers themselves. So yeah, they didn't use Jamaicans, and I was quite disappointed because it took away the authenticity. But I think the amount of criticism that is going around about the movie is unwarranted. I really do. But you can't please everyone. You're going to get that. I remember when Steve McQueen brought out Lovers Rock Story, and I was the first one to jump on the bandwagon and criticize it because it didn't represent black Brits and of that era. And then I found out he wasn't even a part of that era. And so that's why he couldn't gauge it properly. He couldn't calculate the culture. He couldn't, emulate the culture or what we were going through in that time or what we were wearing or how we were talking and all of that stuff. He was getting the information third hand. Similarly, with Bob Marley's movie, it's the same kind of thing. When you are not a part of that experience, when you as an actor have not gone through that pain and that hell and that poverty and that crisis, you cannot act as though you have been. And I think that is what Jamaicans are saying. They're saying, how can somebody who's lived a more or less privileged life play the part of somebody who went through such a large struggle, such a big struggle? And so there is going to be criticism, but is the criticism justified? It is for those people who are criticizing, and for other people around the world who just want to get a glimpse at the Bob Marley they knew and loved. And although he's passed on, his replica or his clone, then yeah, they will be happy. Thousands and millions of people will be happy just for that glimpse. So yeah, we got to take the good with the bad. There will be people, like I said, who are slagging it off, and I've seen it time and time again. I mean, I'm getting videos left, right, and centre about a different person slagging off Ziggy Marley and the Marley family and saying they sold out. But what was his intention? What did he want? What was his purpose? And you have to ask yourself, what was the objective of making the movie? The objective of making the movie, from my point of view, is for, like I said, his fans to get an insight, a small window into what it was for Bob Marley, how he was inspired, what inspired him. Like I said, there wasn't enough interaction with those significant and integral people in his life. There wasn't enough interaction with them so that people could know who they were. But I mean, apart from that, it was a decent movie, I think. I'll call it decent from a Western perspective. It could pass. Like I said, when I'm British and when I try to put on the Jamaican accent, they can tell me a mile off. It doesn't work. The same with the Sean. It didn't work, the Jamaican accent, and it would have been better if she just spoke British. Another criticism I had is that Bob Marley grew up in my neck of the woods in London, northwest London, and I would have liked to have seen it filmed there because that's how I met Bob Marley, in that kind of environment. But like I said, we can all pick holes, we can all find fault, but the essence of the story is still what is important. And I think what was important, that he was integral in bringing the two sides, PNP and JLP, together. He was a significant artist all around the world that people adored. And yeah, everything else that goes with the name Bob Marley, brilliant artist. And I think that is what we have to focus on. What made him great? His music. And yes, people, members of the band, they didn't like the idea that he was Bob Marley and the Wailers. They were all one. But conflict and goodness knows what else made him the leader of the Wailers, and that caused conflict. We didn't see any of that in there. We didn't see the real journey of Bob Marley, and I think that would have been more um, a more educational movie. But there again, if you want to see that, you can buy Marley, or you can rent Marley, or you can. The movie Marley is a more or less a documentary, and you will get all of the missing parts so that when you put the two films together, it should make some sense. And Marley is more authentic. Marley is based on in Jamaica. It's based on Jamaican characters and the Jamaican experience. So that's all I've got to say for now. I've got to go to work after jury service. I thought I'd get an extra week off, but no luck. I've still got jury immunity, I understand, for another 5 days, but I don't want my work to pile up, so I'm going in. And you have a blessed day, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.